The Bureau of Good Roads is focused on design education materials to try and provide downloadable and accessible materials to educate people about some basic street design ideas. We don't have many materials that are just to teach the fundamental ideas about how we design our streets. We don't provide means for the public to learn easily about how we put together our streets. So we'll have some new materials that will make some of the basic ideas just more accessible in an easy and fun way. I've created a program called the Good Roads Rangers Club, where we are having hands-on fun with activities that are all based around the design of our streets and our land use and how we put our communities together. And I'm using that experience to then create STEM activities which will be online, downloadable, and available to people wherever they are. STEM is an umbrella term for science, technology, engineering, and math. It's being used widely now in relation to children because there's a lot of work going on to encourage them to consider opportunities in those fields. There are a lot of people from the science, technology, engineering side who put together our streets, who work hard on how we design them, how we operate them, what materials we put into our streets, what makes a good street. Yet, even though children are very familiar with the streets, they may not be familiar with all the STEM background related to the streets. I'm challenging them to think about the streets in a different way. They haven't really been asked to look closely at how the street is built and how it operates and what the safety issues are and how it could be better and how they could help make it better. One of the activities we did was we walked around our block looking for signs and talking about all the different types of signs, warning signs, directional signs, commercial signs, colors that relate to these different things. And they have not looked closely at this, and we're thinking differently about the space that they occupy every day. Now, they get it very quickly because they relate to it. We're sort of being scientists in the street, which they haven't been really asked to do. We're also talking about how you use the street. And we talk about how it's not just for travel, not just for cars, it's for people. And look, what are people doing? They're playing, they're socializing. To teach the concept of networks, we actually used shoeboxes. We flattened the shoeboxes and they made it into a little community. They added buildings and people. And then we said, let's join all our communities together. And we joined up all their streets and started to make it into a grid. And they had to figure out how the streets worked with each other, and we ended up with a much wider, broader grid network, but each with its own identifiable community. One of the other activities that we did was we compared a cul-de-sac neighborhood with a grid network neighborhood. It didn't take very long before the children with the cul-de-sac network started complaining, saying, this isn't fair, because our routes are so long. They realized very quickly that it was much harder for them to get to the school. One of my favorite ideas to promote is the idea that the world is always changing. Our built world is not static. We went out and we looked at the outside of the school and we looked at the oldest part and we figured out where the addition was. You could tell by the brick. And we talked about how the school had changed over the years. And as we walk around the streets, we look for evidence of change. One of the difficulties we often have talking about and making improvements on the streets is that people are uncomfortable with change. So we just talk about it as being a normal part of how the streets function. And then we talk about, well, how would you change this so it's better? The way I have designed this program is to use whatever recyclables are readily on hand. I enlist friends, neighbors in collecting materials for us. Any sort of material that we can find in bulk for free, we will find an activity that we can use it for. And then I superimpose on that some very specific traffic-related items, which I have sort of curated over the years. I very much want this program and all my programs to be implementable without any need for a lot of money. I want someone to be able to start it up without actually having any funds. If funds can come later to do some fancier activities, great, but you really can work with what you've got. Cereal boxes, scissors, tape, newspapers, we can make a city. We try and create bridges through the program to both the parent world and the public official world. How we're doing it right now with this project is we're holding a ribbon cutting next Tuesday. And that gives us an opportunity for the adult world to see what we've been doing, to have the children talk to them about the new ideas that they've learned, and also an opportunity for me to talk about this project and how it fits into the broader design world. We wrote thank you notes to local public officials. Started to create that bridge to the people who are working on the streets and the things that we're talking about and looking at. The Good Roads Ranger Club will live on. We've really been prototyping activities and ideas here and testing them. Are they fun? There's no use if kids don't enjoy doing the activities and if they don't get some of the ideas. Our experience here will be turned into STEM activities that are downloadable and much more widely available. We would love to see other people have fun in the way that we are. I would love other people to be performing the same activities in their classrooms or in their Scout program or at their summer camp.